Hello everyone, this is Tom Fox and welcome to episode 73 of the FCPA Compliance and Ethics Report. Today we continue with our World Cup report, part 5 with Mike Brown. I hope you enjoy the episode. Thank you. Hello everyone, this is Tom Fox and welcome to this episode of the FCPA Compliance and Ethics Report. We are on World Cup review number 4 with my friend Mike Brown. Hello, Mike. How's things in Corvallis?
Yes, things are going great in Corvallis. It's actually kind of warm. It's almost 92 degrees today. So that's for Oregon, that's pretty warm.
That is pretty warm for Oregon. A little warmer than that here, but not by much. Just a lot more humid. So anyway, Mike, we had a really interesting last 7 days or so of football. And as with our first 3 World Cup reviews, we want to use some of the things that we've seen as discussion points for due diligence and compliance, and then go right into the games, and then what we might see in the semifinals. So what I wanted to visit with you about, Mike, is one thing that struck me in the Brazil-Colombia game was the refereeing. And then Saturday in the New York Times, there was an article that basically talked about that the referee sets the tone of a game. Now, I played a fair amount of American football, American basketball, American baseball, and that's certainly true for those American sports. And the referee truly is the referee. He is the top guy during a game. And if, from my experience, that if he lets things go, things will build to a crescendo that may end up something ugly happening. And unfortunately, we had that happen where through probably a pretty hard foul that deserved a yellow card, we had one of the premier players in the world with a fractured vertebrae. And Neymar, the Brazilian striker, who is now out for the remainder of the World Cup. But the thing that struck me about the Times article was they certainly assessed blame to Brazil for playing hard and aggressively. But I really want to focus on the referee and what the referee's role. So maybe I would start out with you've played soccer, or what the rest of the world would call football. And what do you see the referee's role in a game?
Well, it's they're absolutely right. The Wall Street Journal was right on task with calling out the referee for setting the tone. Clearly, depending upon, I mean, the best ref in the world, when I've been playing with them, well, I'm not saying I've ever played with the best refs, but the best refs I played with were the ones that absolutely controlled what happened on the field. And when you got fouled, you know, he would say, or she would say, saw it, you know, play on, you know, you had advantage. You know, it would be something like, just as long as you knew that he saw that you got fouled, but there was an advantage to, you know, continue to play, you were kind of okay with the foul, right? And you're okay with his control of the field. It strikes me that clearly he called 54 fouls or something like that. There should have been in the first half probably a half a dozen yellow cards, if not 1 or 2, to set the tones right off the bat, just so that dangerous kind of plays that actually happened in the game didn't occur. You know, as a soccer player, he did it on purpose. There's no question in my mind that his knee up in the air was absolutely to, you know, plow through Neymar and set a hard foul. He didn't mean to break his back, but clearly, you know what you're doing. When it comes to, you know, tone at the top and the due diligence aspect of things, you know, clearly, you know, setting expectations, making things transparent, understanding the different issues, and making sure that you actually have policies or procedures in the place, monitoring them. These all, you know, make complete sense when it comes to what we're trying to do for the due diligence aspect of things. Even setting sort of clear expectations for your organizations and how you're going to deal with issues. So, yeah, clearly.
I guess, Mike, one of the things that you said struck me, and the thing about the refereeing was that it doesn't take, although certainly you could have 5 or 6 yellow cards, it usually
Right.
doesn't take 5 or 6. It takes one or
Right.
two, and the
Right.
players get the message, and that expectation is communicated. And
Right.
I think if we had seen a yellow card or two when some of the hard fouls were leveled on Rodriguez, the Colombian striker,
Right.
it probably would have ended. And if it had not ended, the referee could have amped up his communication and transparency by pulling out a red card, which was
Right.
unfortunately what we didn't see.
Well, I have I'm going to take it a slight different twist on this, and it's my own personal experience refereeing. On my son's competitive soccer games down in Houston, Texas. And of course, the ref didn't show up, so the coaches did the reffing. My son was a center halfback at the time. And as it turns out, as a referee, I would call fouls pretty well against everyone else. But if someone fouled my son, I hardly ever called it because I was trying to overcompensate for being a dad and being protective. And until my coach, the other coach that worked with me, said, that was a foul, call it. And he actually overruled me a couple times, then it actually helped. So I wonder, when you talked about tone of the top, what was the tone of the top above the referee and all this diving and the Robin stuff and, what was communicated down to him on how to call the game, not just him calling the game. So I kind of wonder, how high up do we want to take the tone here? Even higher up than the on-field part.
You're not suggesting that FIFA had a vested interest in getting Brazil to the finals, are you?
Oh my God. Yeah, no. So
Okay.
FIFA is so transparent that everything they do is completely ethical, Tom.
Okay. Well, Mike, what I would ask you to consider is in the services that Infratel provides, what are clearly you have to look at not only the structure of a company and the financials and the numbers, who they
Right.
do business with, but how do you guys really assess a tone at the top? Are their interview techniques? Do you talk to people? How do you guys go about doing that?
Tone at the top comes out very clearly in the conversations. When you actually interview people and you talk to them, surprisingly, tone at the top comes out actually in written media quite well. With written media, blogs, for example, marketing communications, company notes, these all kind of communicate what actually happens. The part that you have to actually look for, as you indicated actually in your blog today, was do resources go with the tone of the top? Is there a dissonance that's occurring in the company between what they say and actually how they act? And those are all discovered by the investigative techniques that you use, throughout the spectrum of what you're trying to do for due diligence.
And then beyond what you see sort of down the line, do you find that senior management is willing and open to share about their commitment to those sorts of things?
Of course they are. They're completely open, Tom. No. I mean, look. When I was an executive in organizations and we had people coming in outside of organization to, even in mergers and acquisition kind of stuff, even though you're working for the same in quote company, no one is really super open about wanting to let people know what's going on and how the decision's made, and were you second guessed. I think it's human nature towards that kind of behavior. So tone at the top and how you set your policies and procedures. These are all really super excellent types of things, but you also have to have what I consider to be tribal stories. What happened when you got challenged? What happened when something failed? What happened when something didn't quite go right, didn't fit the sort of written policies? what happened and what are those stories that are kind of promulgated throughout an organization. Those are the sort of stories that you get for discovering dissidents in an organization.
And I guess the kind of maybe the way to, if I could bring it all together or tie it up a little bit, in addition to the hard foul against
Right.
Neymar and certainly his horrific injury, I
Right.
think we saw the result of not only Brazil's tactics but the referee's decision to let almost anything go near
Right.
the end of the game when the Brazilian captain, whose name escapes me, made one of the stupidest fouls I have ever seen in the
I get it.
history of World Cup soccer, where he
Right.
jumped in front of the goalie. And I even mentioned that to my wife, and she just said, "Well, they gotten away with it all game. He thought he probably wasn't going to get caught, so he did it." And by
Right.
that time, the ref had had enough, and Neymar had been injured, and a second yellow went up, and now they've lost their captain for their
Right.
upcoming semifinal match. So it really turned around to bite Brazil in the ass, double bite, if you can use that
Yeah.
phrase.
Well, it's a crazy thing. Being tired and being exhausted, you lose your mental acuity. Now, was he tired, or was he just being, uh, you make the stupid kind of mistakes. I look at this referee stuff as I'm going to take a little small twist on it, and I'm a technologist. I love technology and how to deploy it. There's nothing. I mean, they have headsets that they talk to each other. There's a fourth on the sideline that they talk to each other on. There's nothing that says that there couldn't be a fifth or sixth that are watching replays and other kinds of activities. Now, part of the I guess the snobbiness of the game is that there's no stoppages, there's no timeouts except if you have water breaks. But the point is that you could deploy technology in a way that would allow for the referee to continue to allow the game to flow and move, and then put in penalties that would be restrictive in that the beginning part of the second half or even at the end of the game, that wouldn't actually change the kind of the flow of the game. But I think FIFA really needs to start considering how is technology used today and how could it be used better and more effectively, in the calling of the game. But like I said, I'm actually a technophile kind of person, so I will look to technology to help solve problems. So
Well, and I would just observe that I have seen more correct calls for offsides in this tournament than I ever have. And
right,
that's led me to wonder if somebody is providing some help to those side judges, because there have been times when they've been behind
hmm
the lead player, and
right,
sometimes behind both lead players, offense and
right,
defense, yet they've made
right,
the correct call.
right,
And that's certainly one area that technology has helped, at
right,
least on the visual impact. So, tone at the top, I really saw it demonstrated, unfortunately, I think, the detriment of all of us,
right.
because I think we lose out on seeing one of the world's greatest teams now missing perhaps their top two players.
I agree with you. I mean, in Brazil, they have incredibly good players, and this can be a rallying point for them. Let's win it for Neymar, and let's win it for the captain. Let's put aside some of our issues that we've had in the past. Neymar is an incredible, gifted player, but he also has his own issues, right? So, having another person in there, we'll see what happens. Brazil's got tremendous talent. They're in their own country. They have a pretty good. I mean, they're going against a pretty good team, though. I mean, uh,
Well, and
they're
that
pretty
brings us to
good.
the semifinals.
Right,
So, Germany, Brazil.
right.
What are your thoughts?
Well, clearly Germany has the horses to win this game. They have the. I don't think they have anybody that's going to be missing the game, so I think they're the healthiest of probably all four of the teams out there. I think I'm not positive about that. Um, they have. I don't know. I don't think the keeper's been tested very much at all, so they have a really good defense. So they, and even though you can put together this whole concept of rallying around the falling, comrade, it also is the possibility of giving you an excuse to lose. So I don't think that's going to be the case in Brazil's case because it's a national pride. But I don't think I'm going to predict a score in this case. I was really bad in predicting the U.S. against Belgium. But dang it, Wando should have won it at the end of the game is what I'm going to stick to my. And you would have won your bet there on it, Tom. 1-0. But Brazil, Argentina. What do you think about Argentina and Messi? And that score was incredible.
Yeah, I had not really focused on Argentina and really being one of the top teams in the world.
Right.
They have really surprised me, and it's surprised me even more so because, to a large extent, Messi has not been the prime scorer, and he's been the setup man. And to have one of the world's 2 or 3 greatest scorers as your setup guy speaks to the strength of your team. And
well, I think it does, and he's been pulling. I mean, it's sort of like maybe if you want to even bring it back to due diligence. I mean, a superstar in this case is pulling in a lot of players, 2 and 3 marked people, giving him a chance to really sort of be the playmaker, affect play by his absence of physical location. He's able to move the shape of the field just by how he runs to a certain part of the field.
And the other thing is, if I'm not sure I knew this and forgot it or didn't know it, but he is just the plastic guy. I mean, he bends, he never breaks. He's like Gretzky in hockey. You could never get a good shot at him. They could put the biggest, fastest goons out there going after him, and Gretzky always avoided him. And Messi just seems to be able to dodge people, to slip around people. You're right, the way he creates his own space, and he creates space for his teammates. And that's what I found to be incredibly interesting about this Argentinian team. Their opponents, though, the Netherlands played, other than not putting the ball in the net, which admittedly is a small, important part of a soccer match, they played about as well as you could against Costa Rica. And I would say Costa Rica was probably overmatched, but the Netherlands, I think, has a very good chance of getting through. I just that's the match I'm less sure of. I'm afraid with Brazil, with their 2 top players out, Germany may be able to get the better of them.
I do too. I started this whole endeavor for the blogs. I said Netherlands was my second team. They have really quite skillful players. Robin is a workhorse. I think he's in prime shape. I really think they're probably going to take it to Argentina. I think they're going to potentially really win this whole match. The talk about tone at the top, if you want to, and as the talk, the managers pulled most of the strings really well. Subbing keeper. This. I mean, we're talking. I mean, wow. I mean, this is incredible that he does this. I would think Man U is going to be extremely happy to have this as a head coach going forward. By the way, so maybe in this case, Tone at the Top, has gone through this whole Netherlands team quite well, and they all seem to be playing their part to do well. So we'll see.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have a lot of sympathy for people who scored for him yesterday.
No.
He's able to deliver the right solution to the right problem dispassionately, as a coach should do, and perhaps even harshly. But yes, his move with the keeper was just inspired.
Well, the part that was wonderful to hear him say it was, yes, I get credit for the move, right? But I also would have gotten credit for the move if it had failed. And I just love the fact that he just steps up and it says he specializes in this aspect of things. He's just very good at it. Boy, I tell you what though, the guys taking penalty kicks from Netherlands, there wasn't. I mean, I don't think there was. Did the keeper get within a foot or two of the ball ever? in any of those PKs. They were taken with masterful skills. So maybe if they go against this guy all the time, that's why they were so good at it. But
right.
Yeah. So I really think it's going to be Netherlands against Germany, and I'm going to say that Netherlands is going to beat Germany, and Van Nistelrooy is going to go crazy.
Yeah. I guess at this point I'm going to have to go the opposite a little bit. I do think Germany will win, but I think Argentina, for me now, is the team to beat, and I think Argentina may sneak in and win it. But I guess the other observation I've had is how incredibly close these teams, all of these teams are, particularly at this level.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen games like Netherlands, Costa Rica, where arguably the talent level was a notch or two above for the Netherlands. Yet Costa Rica was able to take them to penalty kicks. So not only do you have to have the talent, but at this level you have got to play to your talent. And the evenness of these teams has really astounded me, really throughout, after we got out of the group stage. No blowouts in the quarters.
None. And, no real blowouts in the top 16. When you look at any of these games, they were all overtime matches, very tightly played. The skill level in the top 16 teams that made it through aren't much. And one of these days we should talk about, if we have time, what does it take the U.S. to finally get up into the top 4 and then maybe get lucky. But I think this has been, to me, a tremendous World Cup, been well worth the advertisement dollars. But come Russia, come Qatar, if they don't change it, it's going to be, I think, a different story.
So we need your on-the-record pick for Germany and Brazil?
On-the-record pick. Germany, I think it's going to take them 2-0. And I think Netherlands is going to beat Argentina 2-1. And I think they're going to beat Germany 2-0.
Well, I think it's going to be Germany 1-0 over Brazil. I do think Argentina 2-1 over the Netherlands.
Okay.
And then I think I'm going to take Argentina in penalty kicks.
Ooh, okay. You're going to the all the way to the end. All right.
All the way to the end. So.
All right.
Yep. We'll have to save your thoughts on how the U.S. can take it up a notch for perhaps our wrap up.
Okay, that sounds great, Tom.
Okay, Mike, I appreciate you taking the time to visit with me and hope everyone's enjoyed this episode.
Me too. Take care now.